Hello, NESARA listeners. So today we're going to do a couple questions that many of you guys have asked. So the first question in here on the NESARA questions is, where's the safest place to have your money when you take it out of the stock market? So I'm kind of answering in a couple different ways here. So one way, let's say you can't take your money out of the stock market. Okay, so like if you have an IRA and you're worried about, getting the hit on that. So if it's pre-NESARA timeframe where you're worried about the IRS giving you a hit, which could happen in pre-NESARA timeframe, let me show that one to you. There's a very simple account. Or if you want to keep your money in the stock market because in the near future you want to ride through the wave, watch the dip and then come back. Well, that might be putting in what's called a money market. That's called a cash account. It's what one will happen with money managers is that they're moving from one fund to another. They will put it through what's called a money market account, and they're just using it as a through port. And sometimes if there are little overages, they'll throw them in these little funds, and they're just money market, and they're just cash. That's all they are. They're a perfect place for riding it through a rainy day. Now, big accounts actually do this, and you can do this for crazy circumstances, and smart money managers actually use this all the time. But they use it for short-term events. Now, I actually did this today is February 19th of 2023. I think it was May of 2022. So I've had it in there for 8 months. I don't care. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. Now, if you want to take your money out of the stock market, the best thing in the history of the world is always gold and silver. Okay? Which one of those? It's your choice. Okay? There are bunches of people that are doing gold and silver. Okay? You can do physical gold and silver is always the best. Okay? You can go down to your local gold and silver place and do this. But remember, every time you do gold and silver, you're going to pay a surcharge because there's shipping. There's a 20-30% shipping charge that you have with that. So don't expect that you're going to get it just, exactly for that number, because there's always a surcharge. Unless you're walking in there and getting it from the vaults. I don't think you're normally getting that kind of thing. Now, the reality is that you're going to have that. Now, we're going to answer a question related to gold and silver here in just a second. And I'm going to bring on a guy in a couple weeks here. His name is Daniel, and his title he's utilizing is Family Man, and he's got a unique channel, and we'll do this in the later time frames. On Telegram. He was on Twitter, and then he really hasn't done a lot of YouTube channel stuff. He and I talk a lot, and he's a financial planner, and he's kind of pushing away the curtains a little bit. And this guy is really, really cool. You'll love him. He's a really strong believer, but he's also really smart when with all this stuff out. And he and I were talking about this, and there is a conversation that Jeremy Whaley and I have actually had the same exact thing with. So one of the things that's going to happen when we go to a gold-backed currency is that the currency will peg in the gold amount. So let me give an example. You see it today, and let's just say the number is 1950 for gold. It will peg out and make up a number. Okay, you might want to say it's $2,500. You might want to say it's $5,000, and we're just going to say for the heck of it, it's $5,000. Okay, and I've talked about this before. Okay, so let's say for the heck of it, it's $5,000. So what will happen is it will go along fine for $5,000, and so you're sitting there with 1950 that you bought, a certain amount of gold. Let's say you bought 200 ounces of gold. Okay, so it's a lot of money in gold. And you're going to sell it once it gets up to 5,000. And as soon as the Treasury sets this, It will peg it. And by the way, you go, yeah, but isn't it going to go up and down? No, it's not. Okay? It will not go up and down. It has never gone up and down when it is a gold-backed currency. Why? Because if you have a gold-backed currency, a U.S. note, and in the near future called a U.S. Treasury note, it'll say backed by the U.S. Treasury. Okay? And if you look pre-1913, and there's a gorgeous set of videos that you can watch, and I put this on NESARA Basics channel. On my YouTube channel here, you can kind of go look at that, and it's and I'm going to bring that up here, and I will kind of include that here just a second. So sorry, you might hear something a little bit, so I'm going to kind of bring this up over here. But there is a set of videos or types that I'm going to show you that you can do. Hold on one second. So it's going to take me a second to switch over, and you're going to hear something play for a minute. So it's called NESARA Background 101. So I put some of these things under the 101 kinds of areas to try to help you kind of look at some of these ways that the currency actually pegs and is set in the background. But in the past, they'll show you how currencies, when it's a U.S. Treasury note, it'll have a little gold look to it. Okay, it doesn't have gold inside of it, and that gold look to it, you could walk in there and it's a $20 and get $20 of gold if you wanted to get the physical gold. You won't really care about that because that is worth that thing, because the bank has to have that amount of gold on hand. Okay, that's how that works. So you're not going to, the bank robber isn't going to want to rob the gold because he's got the currency on his hand, in his hand, excuse me. And so that's just how that works. And we'll talk a little bit about the digital stuff in here in a second. Now, so you're going to want to, let's say that when it switches over, and it'll be a switchover event, and it switches over and it's $5,000, well, you can run down to whatever the Joe's Gold and Silver store, and you sell your currency, or you sell your gold, and you sell it for $5,000. So you sell that 200 ounces, let's say, for $5,000 per, and so you made all that profit, right? Now, when we have that such circumstance, the IRS is no more at that point. And so you're not going to have to pay taxes on that because it is a currency even still. It's really kind of cool. There's so many cool things that are going to be happening related to that. Now, once you have that amount of money, a lot of people are going to be doing the same thing, which means that the amount of gold is going to, in America, we're just talking about America, and it's going to be the same thing in Canada and every other place. So they're going to have their own backing, their own asset backing. So if it's diamond backed or silver backed or whatever that might be, you're going to think, well, I'm going to turn in that amount of asset and get whatever that asset is worth with that. Okay, but America is going to be the one that's going to be doing some of this. So you're extending the amount of gold in the ecosphere, in essence. Okay, so when the Treasury looks at it 6 months or a year down the road, instead of 5,000, what they will do is actually reduce the price because they have more gold to them. That's not a bad thing. So they might drop the price from 5,000 to 4,700. And again, that's not a bad thing. It just means that they have reduced that price, and there will be some fluctuation based upon what people are doing, which changes. Now, when you reduce the price or the value of money, it increases the prices of things around you. Now, here's the thing. Our value of cash is a big old fat zero. Actually, it's a big old negative. I mean, it's so negative, it's not even funny, okay? So that's the problem that we're struggling with right now. Okay, so hold on one second. So we're struggling with money because inflation is killing us, and in a fiat currency, inflation is just all over the place. Okay, but when we come to a gold-backed currency, inflation is a big old fat zero. I mean, there is no inflation at that point. Okay, so where's the safest place to put it? Either of those places in gold and silver. It will be pegged out to gold here. And there's another interesting question, and it's there's a question that says, bad digital currency, good digital currency, explain the difference. Okay, so I want to kind of bring that one up here. So bad digital currency. There is a thing called central bank digital currency, CBDC. Okay, Bitcoin is a type of bad digital currency. Okay, now in the past, I'd had some videos about with people about Bitcoin kinds of things. Okay, and it was because I was still learning about it, and trust me, I still learn. I'm learning new things all the time. Okay, so don't freak out about this kind of stuff because I have to learn all the time. So here's the thing. There are a ton of cryptos out there. Cryptos are types of digital currencies. Okay, so there are bad digital currencies, and they're backed by a bunch of nothing. Like there's these Ethereums and all these other crazy currencies. Okay, and they're super backed by nothing. And that's and when the central banks want you to do them, and because they're just crazy over this kind of stuff, that's a type of great reset. That's what they're trying to push. They want you to go to that. Really, that's what the fiat is. The fiat currency is a type of digital currency. You just don't know it. Okay. Every time you pay by credit card, and then you turn around and you pay it off by online transfers and stuff like that, you're really doing a digital currency in essence. Okay. A crypto is just another leg in the middle of that. So crypto is just another point that they kind of catch you, and they make money off of those little hops that go in there. Okay. Now, and again, the cryptos are not the worst thing in the whole world right now. But in the near future, and I'm going to be doing a video on the cryptos that we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit. XRP and XLM are going to be some new kind of cool cryptos. These two are, I believe that XLM and XRP by Ripple in the networks are ISO 222, so they're definitely in setup. The quantum financial system doesn't need a crypto, but what they do need about it, so that I can see with a quantum financial system, I can pay Joe money, so it can go from Joe to Scott and back to Scott. Okay, so that's not a problem. But what happens when I take a check from Scott to Joe? So it's got to jump from a bank to a bank. Well, in the past, we had these things called, we had the thing called the Fed. The Fed was the connector between the two banks. Okay, and that was the connector with that. And again, I'm going to talk about this a lot more in a couple of videos in the near future here, or in a video here in the near future. And I believe that XRP is going to be the jumper, the hopper. Reality is that cryptos are not a currency. They're just a hopper, a connector between the two. Think of them as a connection. So XRP is a connector. It's not a currency. It's just a connection point between the bank points. Okay, so just think about currency between the banks of all the banks throughout the world. Okay, now, so it is not going to be that it's going to be gold backed in that way. It's just a connection point. Okay, because you cannot have it that we have another elitist system where they're controlling things. Okay, now XLM is a potential for a jump between countries. So France to Spain. So what would happen with that one? Well, that's the central banks, okay? And central banks would jump from those two things. So that's the vehicle that would happen. Well, guess what? When NESARA comes in, the central banks and the Fed, whoosh, they wash off the map, okay? So that's part of the stuff that happens. And I know this is going, oh, and I know when you guys hear this stuff and you're going, I just don't get it. Slow down. That's why I keep answering these questions over and again, okay? And I know I want you to, you're going to ask this question. I'm going to tell you, I want you to back this video up and watch it a couple times if you're really struggling with this stuff, okay? And there are other videos that explain things, like NESARA Explained. I go through the video quite a bit, okay? So spend some time looking at some of that stuff too. So again, a digital currency is not like the mark of the beast kind of stuff, okay? You do digital currency all the time. Every time you write a check, you are utilizing a digital currency. What the heck? Well, guess what? If I write a check from Bank A and deposit, and I give it to you, and you take it to your bank, money isn't moving necessarily. I'm telling Bank A to send it to you, and you give it to Bank B. They're communicating through the Fed to move that money back and forth. And so it's a digital system, okay? And if I just go, the same thing that happens when I pay with a credit card. I go into a business, and this is my next point here. If I walk into a business and I swipe a credit card, okay? Swipe with the credit card, I walk out and I paid with that credit card. So the business has gotten that money. And they're getting the money through through the Fed, through the banking systems. Okay, that's the payment, that's the paymaster. Okay, they're getting that money through there. At the end of the month, I might go online and pay off the credit card, which you should. You pay off your credit card, and you're doing it from your bank to Visa, whatever that might be. So that is actually another bank, a bank to a bank. And so those are the transfer mechanisms. That's all a digital transfer, okay? In essence, that's a type of crypto. It's just, cryptos are just another jump point, okay? And I know that you might go, oh, that's not it. It really is. It's. I know we're talking about cryptos are just another type of banking jump point. That's really where we are here, okay? Now, I want to jump out into another set of questions that people are saying. And so here's what this is. If no one has to work because they have so much money in a UBI, how will businesses and stores be run? First off, okay, there is no such thing as a UBI. Okay, the UBI is a universal basic income. That is done by the Great Reset. Great Reset people want you to like have your work for them or work for the government. Hey man, if you have a universal basic income, and it's going to come with strings. So trust me, that is not happening. Now, if you're talking about Social Security or disability, or you're a veteran, and you've had, you have disability based upon your veterans benefits, that's a different conversation. Okay, that's not a UBI. Okay, and I've said that about 300 billion times to people, okay? So, first off, that's not happening. So those people are getting, we perceive the possibility, if you notice how coy I'm trying to be in there, that anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month, that those people with Social Security, disability, veterans kind of thing are going to get. And that's a good thing, okay? And that's already built into the system of NESARA, okay? So other people are not going to get UBI. Sorry. Other people are going to get so mad at me, and as soon as I say that, I'm going to get a whole bunch of hate mail. I'm sorry. I don't say things that people like. So first off, no one's going to walk around with millions and millions and millions of dollars, because what that would do is crush the system. It would waste out the system. And I have a book behind me, okay? And I just want to kind of explain this book here just a second. It's a $10 book that I have priced it out for, okay? I make, when you buy it from Amazon, $2.60, I think, per book. If I want to, that's all I make. You understand? I make $2.60 a book. I'm the one that wrote it, did all the work, did the artwork, did the stuff for it. They're doing this. I mean, you have to pay shipping, by the way. I don't pay shipping, and you pay shipping. They don't pay shipping. So they're making, 75% of that book, or 70% of that book kind of thing. You're going, so the author is getting 30% of that book? Yep. That's exactly what happens. Okay? Now, so there is cost of goods sold built into that. Okay? And that's in a fiat currency, and that's just how Amazon works. Now, if you're saying that if everyone just had a whole bunch of money, and Amazon knew that everyone had a whole bunch of money, they'd start charging $100 per book because they know you have a ton of money. So they would just start charging $100, and I might get $30 per book, and yay for me, and yay for Amazon, but that means you're not getting anything more than a $10 book, but now you're having to pay $100 for it, because that would be price fixing, because they know what you do. And then you'd have to have the government coming in and going, you can't price fix, and then you'd have a black market thing. No. Okay. So other than Social Security, disability, veterans, okay, that's the only people that are going to have that kind of thing. That's doing the right thing for the people. We want people to make good money, but you know what? The private sector actually handles that well. Okay? But how do businesses run in the NESARA timeframe? Frankly, not a lot different than they are now. The thing that's going to be kind of cool for businesses, for small businesses and the medium-sized businesses, is they're not going to have to deal with the fixing of businesses like Amazon or Apple or other things that they've been doing to hurt the small businesses. See, every once in a while you hear like Visa telling you, go buy from your local small business. And I'm just like, shut up. You don't really even mean that. And the thing is that small businesses are what drive real value. I mean, if you want to buy some shoes, and I'm going to give you an example. And for Christmas, we bought a pair of shoes. I mean, these slippers. And I bought them online, but you know what? They don't really fit. They don't slip on me, and I'm flopping all over the place. But if I was able to buy this pair of slippers from someplace in town, I would have been able to check them out and see, oh, those don't really slip on very well, okay? And I'm flopping around here. And buying things online don't always work, and that's the problem that happens. Humans are very different, okay? And if you want to buy something online, that's why that kind of thing is available. Hey, you're going to have freedom of choice. If you want to buy something online like that, great. If you want to buy whatever you want to buy, you have that freedom. So there's going to be what's called competition. And by the way, small business owners are so used to competition, it's not a problem for them. But guess who doesn't like competition? You guessed it. The big online people hate it. The big tech and the big corporations, they can't stand it. And yet there's going to be so much competition, and there's going to be so low capabilities or so low perceptions of what they've done to you because of all the gross things that you'll find out about, that your consumer confidence with them is just going to be just ungodly low. So I think you're going to be finding that there's going to be a lot more ability for small businesses to grow and grow dramatically. It's a good thing for small businesses. And it's a good thing for all the businesses of the world. And it's going to grow jobs. And if you really look at Trump, specifically in America, if you really look at Trump and what he's really about, his thing is about jobs. Hey, when people have a good job, they're doing something. That's why I don't talk about UBI that other people talk about. Because if people had a whole bunch of money, they wouldn't go to work. We'd have a whole bunch of people who would just wally and getting all fat, okay? Here's the thing. You want people to have a job. You want them to do some good things with their life. They need to be able to have a purpose, okay? Hey, if you don't have an ability to work anymore, my father-in-law is 88 years old. He can't work anymore, okay? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a disability, I don't want you to have to work anymore, but I want you to have the money to be able to support yourself, okay? That's the right thing for us. So I hope that helped you. You can go to my website up there. There's drscottyoung.com where you can see the book. You can support me. I really would appreciate that if you want to support me. You can also go to the Telegram channel because people always ask about it all the time. It's Dr. Scott Young NESARA. So at least you can kind of, see what we do. That gives you a lot of information, okay? And subscribe and like this channel. So I appreciate that a bunch. Thanks so much.